there, Merritt Martinez here, and I'm back to share QuickBooks Ledger. In this video, I do want to share with you some limitations that are happening inside of QuickBooks Ledger, which are important to be aware of when you're choosing if QuickBooks Ledger is the right version for you. So for example, I was showing you the user version of QuickBooks Ledger, and I also have the accountant version. Now, the power, of course, in QuickBooks Ledger is that the QuickBooks Ledger platform does allow for an accountant to be invited into your data, which is awesome. Now, there are a few items that you can't use in Ledger that I know your accountant would like, and that's why I'm going to share them with you, so that way you can be aware of them ahead of time, especially if you need to tell your accountant that you do require this information, and then they may suggest to use another version to go ahead and collaborate with you. So let's go ahead and only look at the user version, so that way we can be aware of what you want to tell your accountant. So right now we are looking at QuickBooks Ledger, and we're also looking at an account that also has some bank transactions in them. And it has a bank account and a credit card account. Now, when most accountants and bookkeepers want to train a business owner on how to categorize their transactions, there's a few key items they want to be able to post to the transaction. For example, it's important that when it comes from the bank that we get details so we know who it's coming from. If it's coming from a vendor, meaning that you have an expense or money out, then you would want to add the vendor in that transaction, and then you want to apply the account to that transaction. You can do that with no problem in QuickBooks Ledger. However, if the transaction is related to income, and you want to apply a customer in QuickBooks Ledger, customers are not available in QuickBooks Ledger. So that is the first limitation that I want to be honest about, because that may be something that you as a business owner want to track. You want to track your customer information. You want to track your accounts receivable, which would be possibly invoices that you're sending out, and then want to know whether you are owed any monies from those invoices or what any outstanding invoices are. You do not have that in QuickBooks Ledger. So again, that first limitation would be that you'd want to categorize this transaction, for example, if it was from a vendor and it was an expense, for example, this right here from Creator Apps, this is clearly an expense. I can create a vendor in QuickBooks Ledger called Creator Apps, and I can simply just save that vendor and save that transaction under the correct category. But if I wanted to apply a transaction to money in, and if that money in was related to a customer, I would not be able to apply it to a customer because, again, there's no customers in QuickBooks Ledger. So that's important to understand and be aware of ahead of time in case you do want to track customer information. Now, one area that I wanted to show you, let's say, for example, it wasn't necessary that you wanted to track customer information, but you do want to be able to identify when a transaction is related to a customer. What you could do is under the vendors area in QuickBooks Ledger, you can create customer names. For example, this is 1C, which is the identification for my customers, and then Jenny's Hair Bar. And anything related to Jenny's Hair Bar would actually fall under this vendor account. Now again, this is truly just a workaround because you wouldn't want your customers in the same list as your vendors, but that is an option for you. And so that's one area I wanted to mention that's quite important in regards to tracking customer information. And if that's something that is important to you, then you probably want to consider the full QuickBooks Online suite, Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, or Advanced. If you have questions about that, feel free to connect with me and I can provide you some more information on the best version. Okay, so we're going to continue bringing in all of these transactions, and then we'll go ahead and look at reviewing financial statements in QuickBooks Ledger. Hope that was helpful.